Hey guys, Jeff Hightower with Church Central Office here. I wanted to talk commonly asked questions that I often get when we do an initial call, with the hopes that I can answer some of these so that when we do jump on the call, we can really explore what's going on with your church, how can we help, or maybe even a recommendation of instead of us, maybe you should consider A, B, C, or D. I will go ahead and apologize up front. You will see pretty quickly that there is a reason that I'm an accountant and not a public speaker. So this might be very boring and monotonous, so I apologize in advance, but you've been warned. Okay. Okay, who are we? How did we get started, etc. So I actually served as an executive pastor for a church for several years before stepping into just the CFO seat where I oversaw all things accounting and quickly had other churches coming to me and saying, "Hey, is this something you could help us with? Could you help us with budgeting? Could you help us with the tools that we're using or better reporting? Or we're starting a new construction project. Could you help us get prepared for that?" And so pretty quickly, other churches continued to ask. And, you look up several years later without having the intention of having a firm dedicated to churches, but here we are. So that leads us into our next question that we often get is what exactly do you guys do? So I would say three primary areas. So number one would be full service accounting department. So if your existing accountant has left or if they are leaving, we can jump in and we're gonna oversee, right? We'll run payables, we can do payroll, we're doing accounting and bookkeeping, general ledger maintenance, we're doing reporting. So we're doing all the day-to-day stuff. And then you also, as a part of that service, you do meet with a dedicated CFO to your church every month for them to look through what's going on. Hey, based on what I see, I would recommend this. What questions do you have? Maybe you guys are working towards something, or maybe you're adding another campus, or fill in the blank. But that monthly meeting is what helps you be able to ask questions and then also gain insights from somebody who this is what they do all day, every day. Okay, so that's kind of that full service accounting department. One of the others is that we do offer a CFO only service. So let's just say you've got a bookkeeper on staff and they're great in executing the day to day, but they don't really have things that can help you with best practices, with making things more efficient, with being quicker to get to reporting, or really helping understand what those reports are telling you or where you're headed or how is cash doing if we keep doing the same thing that we're doing. Do we have 3 months of runway left or are we about to run out? How much do we need in capital reserves or operational reserves? Just those kinds of things. So if you have an accountant or a bookkeeper that you want to keep in place but you need some additional support, we offer a CFO only service where we can come in and jump in for 6 months, for 12 months. Maybe it's where you want somebody to come in and review things and really be a guide to you going forward. So we offer the CFO only service. Lastly, we do reporting for churches as well. So these are not what you can print out of QuickBooks or ACS. These are actually board ready reports that are visual to help you see, hey, this is kind of where we were last year. This is where we are this year. Maybe this is telling us what our cash flow looks like and how many months left we can operate at this level. Maybe it's here's how this campus is doing versus this campus. So we do custom reporting for churches, kind of depending on what do what do you need? Okay. So who do we help? So our full service usually works best with churches that are right at $1 million in annual budget up to about $10 million in annual budget. That's kind of our sweet spot for full service accounting. And I would say that's going to be where you get the most value add for your dollar for churches. If you're beyond that, I would say you probably need someone in-house. And if you are smaller than that, it's usually more difficult to generate an ROI that makes sense. So I would typically say if your church is in that one, right around one, or on the way to $1 million in the annual budget, up to $10 million, we could potentially be a good fit. Okay. For the CFO only and for reporting only, I would say typically budgets don't make, excuse me, budget size usually doesn't make that big of a difference. And what I mean by that is that we can help churches that are two, three, $400,000 a year in annual budgets, and we can help churches that are 15, $20 million a year in annual budgets because they either need the guidance, they need the support, they need the reports, etc. So there's not really that much of a budget restriction there. I just think it's, hey, let's just jump on the call. Let's talk through what you need and let's explore whether we would be a good fit for you guys. What does it cost? So let's talk through the three different services that we offer. And as you might guess, as complexity increases, cost increases accordingly. Okay. We don't do billable hours. We think that's too much trouble for you guys to budget. It's honestly a lot of trouble for us to try to keep track of it and that kind of thing. And so we do a flat rate. And so this is what it is, and we're all in with that. And so let's talk through reporting, right? So our reporting service starts at 250 bucks a month, and that's if you are a simple single entity church with one campus, and our core report is kind of what you're looking for. So that starts at 250 bucks. But if you tell me, hey, we have 11 campuses and they all operate independently, and we need to ensure that they have sustainability, and we need to highlight the things that are, you know, over budget or when cash flow is under projection, like those those complexities would increase cost, as you would guess, right? So starts at 250 bucks a month for reporting, depends on the complexity. Jump over to the CFO only side, okay? If you need somebody who just comes in, reviews your financials, gives you feedback throughout the month, answers questions throughout the month, meets with you one-on-one to talk through, like, here's what I see, what questions do you have, here's what I would recommend, that kind of thing. That service starts at $2,500 a month. Okay. But let's say, hey, we really want to implement these systems and we need to circle up every single week and make this happen in the next 6 months. Obviously, the complexity is higher, and so the cost would increase. Okay. Full service accounting department starts at 3,000 bucks a month. Again, single entity, single campus, but maybe instead of having, you know, two bank accounts and a money market account, you guys have six bank accounts and 17 credit cards and three endowment accounts where we could use 18% of the return on that in operating, but the rest has to go to restricted. And we have 87 restricted accounts. And so you get it, right? Like the complexity of that increases, so the cost of that would increase as well. Okay. Last thing I do want to make note of, we can't help everyone. And so I just say that so when we jump on a call, you might hear us ask you some questions kind of alongside you, as you're asking us questions. And that's because we want to make sure that those that we work with are great partners for us and that we can add the most value to you. Okay. In the past several years, the supply of accountants has decreased significantly. Also, in the church world, we have a lot of accountants who have completely left the role or they are retiring. And I would say that's probably the bigger pool. But as you can imagine, with a increase in demand and a decrease in supply, it makes it more and more challenging because so many churches are coming forward and saying, "Hey, we really need help." And so I just say that to say We want to make sure that if we partner with you, we can really, really help you. And the same is true for us in the sense of we want to work with partners who we actually want to work with. Because let's just say it, some people are difficult to work with, okay? And so just know that as we go in, just because you might fit into the parameters of who we typically would work with, doesn't mean that we're going to give you a proposal and that we will work with you, okay? We want to make sure that we are a great fit. And so we will explore that and talk through that in our conversation. Another component to that is timing in the sense of what type of timeline are you looking at? Because if we jump on a call next week and you say, hey, by the end of the week, we have to have somebody starting and you have 6 months worth of cleanup work to do and right, like you get it. So depending on your timeline, we may already have a church that's beginning when you want to begin. So we might be able to say, yes, we think we could partner with you, but we would have to start on X date, right? And so I just think some of these things come into play. So as you hear kind of what we do and who we are and who we help, we still want to make sure that we have conversations that our timelines align and that we think that we would both be good partners in working with each other. Okay? Hey, look, I hope that does save us some time. I hope that gives you some answers to questions you probably already had jotted down that you wanted to talk through with us. If you have follow-up questions from these, feel free to ask when we jump on a call. But I hope this gives us a little more flexibility on our initial conversation so that we can hear more about, hey, what's going on? What are you guys really needing? What are the gaps that you have today? How can you guys best be helped? And for us just to really talk through that and see what that looks like. Okay? I hope this has been helpful, and we'll talk soon.